If you're someone who likes a carby breakfast, but also likes to feel full for longer than 20 minutes, which is exactly the amount of time that I feel full if I eat a regular muffin, this is the muffin for you. These are my blueberry almond protein muffins. They are wonderfully dense and filling. They have tons of fiber and protein to keep you full. They have a great, really like tender texture on them, some oats coming in. It's kind of like putting together your morning oatmeal and your protein shake together in one and making it taste like a muffin, which makes us very happy. Plus, they're really easy to make, and the best part is you make a batch and then you can actually store them in your fridge in an airtight container 3-4 days so that you have things ready to go for quick and healthy breakfasts all week long. The first thing we're gonna do is actually work to make our dates, which is our natural sweetener in this dish. So these are still gonna feel indulgent and lovely the way that a wonderful muffin should, but they're being sweetened with the natural goodness of dates, plus a little applesauce, so you get just more bang for your buck and more value with your sweetness because you're getting also the iron and the fiber and the great things that dates, magnesium, all different kinds of different minerals and wonderful things in a fruit, like a date. So these are pitted medjool dates that I am just going to split into, nature's caramel. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do to just make these a little more pliable and give them a little bit more of that sort of caramel texture is actually hydrate these again. So I'm gonna pour a bit of hot water over these dates and let them sit 10 minutes while I assemble all the rest of the ingredients. And that will just give them a little bit of their luscious hydrated texture back. We're gonna discard that water though, so don't put too much. We're just enough to cover the dates. Boiled water. Just covered, let those sit to the side. So now while the dates are hydrating, let's go ahead and start to build the dry mix of our muffin blend. And it is going to be a nice and hearty mix of oat flour, almond flour, and old-fashioned rolled oats. You do not need to buy oat flour already made. You can just take your old-fashioned rolled oats and pulverize them in a food processor. And then you will turn, magically, these lovely rolled oats into this lovely oat flour. I'm gonna have about 1.25 cups of the oat flour. Oat flour is definitely gonna be part of what makes this blend so lovely and dense and filling. It is also going to help give us that nice crumbly texture that we love with baked goods. 1.25 cups, which I'm going to roughly eyeball. Usually with baking, you need to be a lot more precise, but this recipe is pretty forgiving. Okay, 1.25 cups oat flour, 3/4 cup of almond flour. I really like the combination of the oat with the almond. The almond kind of brings like a bit of richness and fattiness to the mix. It also keeps it lovely and tender. The crumb just sort of like, just keeps it very moist. I love that. I realize also this was only supposed to be 3/4 cup and I filled it all the way. So like I said, it's forgiving, but you know, try to keep within the bounds of reason. And then about 1/2 cup of rolled oats. The old-fashioned rolled oats, just, they give your teeth something fun to chew on. When you don't really have to chew, you don't signal to your body that you are eating a sumptuous and filling meal. So put a little something to chew on in here. You can stop right here. If this is the only dry mix you wanna do with, you know, we'll do some leavening and stuff, you can do just this. I'm gonna add some protein boosters just to make this that much more filling and rich and wonderful, starting with flax seeds. Let's bring some omega fats to the party. A word on flax seeds while we are here. So obviously this is ground flax meal. My preference is to buy flax seeds whole. Here's why. Flax seeds are these incredibly dense, like nutrient powerhouses, but it's actually very challenging for your body to get access to what they hold inside because their external shell is so hard. So you do want to pulverize them in order to be able to reap maximum benefits. However, once you pulverize them, you expose especially the fats inside and the nutrients to oxygen, and they start to degrade, and you risk having them go rancid before you eat them. So the best thing I've found to do is to buy your flax seeds whole and then grind them pretty regularly. So like I'll grind these and try to use it within a week or two. I also store them in the fridge. When you can store things with fat content in the freezer, in the fridge, you preserve its longevity. So that is my message to you. I normally try to have this in a glass, like a little ball jar kind of thing, or an old mustard jar or jam jar, something like that. Makes it easy to access, and I try to do that, but they're all being used at the moment. So you have this lovely airtight container. But anyway, grind as often as you can, buy whole, store it in the freezer or the fridge, and you'll be good to go. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of ground flaxseed, and that is gonna add lots of yummy fiber, a bit of richness and fattiness. Flax seeds do have their own flavor though, so I would not go more than a tablespoon on those if you are at all nervous about being able to taste them, which with just a tablespoon you really won't. I'm also gonna add some hemp hearts. These also have a ton of really heart healthy, brain, eye, skin, incredible health boosting essential fatty acids, plus some protein of their own. And the beautiful part is that they also taste like the most tender, delicious, like pine nut almost. They're really, really rich and delicious. Also, hemp hearts per serving, 10 grams of protein and 12 grams of omegas 3 and 6. If you wanted to, you could add a little chia seed in here, and then with the flax, hemp, and chia seed, you would have a complete protein. But sometimes I find the chia changes the texture a little bit, so I'm gonna leave it out. Now it's just flavorings with our dry mix. We want a little salt, of course. Don't skip the salt on your sweet goods. It helps liven up and awaken your tongue so that you can taste everything fully. I'm also gonna add a few dashes of allspice and cinnamon. This is totally to preference. Honestly, I just feel like I've used too much cardamom for you forever and ever, so I wanted to jazz it up a little bit and do the allspice. Allspice has that like really rich, pungent note to it, but it's also almost a little bit savory, and I like that. Nutmeg is great. Obviously, cardamom is my favorite. I'm also, of course, going to add a bunch of cinnamon. So call it a teaspoon or two of cinnamon, depending on how much you like it. And then we need our leavening agent, which is going to be some baking soda. I want a teaspoon of baking soda. And this I'm not gonna eyeball because it's kind of important that you get this one right. I just give that a quick stir, and you can set that off to the side. Remember, we have almond flour, oats themselves, baking soda, cinnamon, a little allspice, flax seeds, and hemp hearts. And chia seeds, if you included those. Okay, set that to the side. Now let's start to build out our wet ingredients. So you can see our dates gotten lovely and plump. Their texture is much softer now that they've had their little hot tub bath. I am gonna eat this one. Go ahead and drain off any liquid from your dates. So they look like that. And add those to the bowl of your food processor, along with half a cup of nut milk or hemp milk of your choosing. Perfect. That's gonna bring some nice hydration in with those dates, along with about half a cup of unsweetened applesauce. And again, this is building back some of that moisture that the oat flour is really gonna drink up and give us that perfect tender crumb that we are after. Maybe one half of one more and then save the other half for you. Perfect. Now the question really is to you. Technically, you could use almond extract here. And if you love marzipan, almond, etc., you will love that. I despise almond extract, so we're not using that. We're using some vanilla extract, about a teaspoon or two. But again, this is for you to make your own. So I will let you decide. And then I want about a tablespoon of avocado oil. You could use melted butter, you could use melted coconut oil, just any neutral oil like that will do. This is where we let her rip until it's lovely and smooth. All right, let's check it out. Oh yeah, look at how rich and caramelly that looks. She's a dream. Now, the only sad part about this recipe is there has not been nearly enough to taste, so we'll rectify that here. Nice little extra sweetness from the applesauce, all that delicious caramelly goodness from the dates. The almond milk just helps to bind it all together. We're gonna add 2 eggs, lightly beaten, and then add those into the wet mix. And then we're pretty much ready to go. All right, just go ahead and give those a quick little whisking. That looks good. One more quick pulse, just to get it all combined. Perfect, all right. Let's go wet into dry. We'll fold in some gorgeous blueberries. We will pop these in the oven. And soon enough, your house will be perfumed with the scent of homemade baked goods that happen to be good for you. Make a little well in the center of your dry mix. I'm just doing this because the almond flour was a little clumpy, and I wanna make sure that as I blend wet into dry, I'm able to work through any of those larger clumps as we go. Okay, it doesn't look great right now. Just putting it out there. It's gonna taste amazing though. And you can see in this way I'm able to bring in bits of dry mix at a time and just get it all evenly incorporated without having to overmix this batter. Although, because we used gluten-free oats and oat flour and the almond flour, this happens to be a gluten-free blend. So we're not gonna risk getting anything too tough if we mix it for longer than is totally necessary. All right, so just give that a quick mix until it's lovely and even like so. Get some muffin liners and pop them into form. And then we want to fill these up about 2/3 of the way with our batter. It will rise a little bit, so, oh no, we forgot the blueberries. Okay, stop, just hold the phone. 1.5 cups of blueberries. Absolutely critical to the perfection of this blend. I was thinking, this looks so sad and lonely, but now we are back in business. Let's go ahead and fill these up. Make sure each one gets plenty of yummy blueberries in there. And we'll go back and even them out once we've got each one mostly filled. And then once you have each muffin filled, we're gonna go back and garnish ever so lovingly with some flaked almonds. That looks great. You need one more blueberry and then you're perfect. Okay, flaked almonds, just for a bit of crumbly texture and to echo the almond flour that is inside the batter, and because it makes the tops look so lovely and finished. And if it is going to tempt you or your children more to eat these this way, you can also add a sprinkle of turbinado sugar on top, and that will make the tops glisten and just a touch sweeter. And these are going to go into a 350-degree oven about 18 minutes until a toothpick or cake tester is lovely and clean when it comes out, but just with a few tender moist crumbs hanging on, because that's how you know they are perfectly cooked and not overdone. Go hang out, have a coffee, relax. Okay, the muffins have been in about 18 minutes now. The smell is incredible. You can see they have popped up ever so slightly, so they've risen outside and domed up over those muffin liners, which is always just gratifying. They smell incredible. Oh wait, this is the best part. Look at how some of these little blueberries have burst and you get these running, incredibly sweet and sticky juices, which are gonna be delicious. We're going to let these cool in the muffin tin 10 minutes. And then it will not burn us when we bite it, but also it will just finish the cooking process, make sure it's lovely and tender throughout. And I've poured myself some tea, and then we will have breakfast together. And it was worth waiting for. Here we are, people. Look, first of all, just golden brown, glorious, beautiful. Tender little bursts of blueberry popping through. It's always a good sign. Wow. Look at that. Oh, they are still quite hot, I will say. Okay, so remember I was talking about how this is like your oatmeal and something like your protein shake combined together? I forgot to mention, it comes with its own jam. So it's also like your toast. It's all your breakfast put together. Because the blueberries are molten and just burst with all their juicy sweetness. The tender, actually like wonderful crumb of the muffin needs the crunch of this flaked almond on top. So yummy. Look at that. I'm sorry. Hello. I gotta say, we have made a breakfast that is somehow managing to combine everyone's favorite breakfast foods all into one in an easy and convenient package to fuel your day, no matter what you're getting up to. Enjoy.